After I left corporate, I spent years building first one business and then another. And on that entrepreneurial journey, I was very much numbers driven. I would set goals, and this is what I wanted to have in revenue. And this was what that revenue was going to allow me to accomplish. And I would have a stair step of goals laid out that with each step, things were going to be more and more the way that I envisioned them to be. And yet, all too often, I did all the right things, but I didn't reach the goal. And I was frustrated because why is it that it seemed like other people could do these things and they would reach their goals and I would do the same thing or even more, and I wouldn't reach my goals? It wasn't fair. What was going on? At the same time that I was building these businesses, I was also healing. I was healing from the legacy of the childhood abuse I suffered growing up. I spent years being sexually abused by my father before I found a way to escape. And so on this entrepreneurial journey, I'm building a business on one hand, and I'm healing on another hand. And the healing is designed in part to support the entrepreneurial journey, and the entrepreneurial journey is designed to help me get to a position where I could help other people heal. And it was a continual process of just not getting there. And I couldn't understand why. And it didn't seem fair. Well, I'm going to share with you a few of the things I learned along the way and how that changed my world. One of the things I learned was that part of authenticity is being comfortable with who I am. And part of being comfortable with who I am is shutting up that voice that would say, "You're not good enough. What makes you think you're going to accomplish your goal this time? You didn't accomplish it last time." I had a whole calliope of voices that played in the back of my head. Those voices, without me realizing it, were impacting me as I was looking to achieve my goals and build my businesses the way that I wanted to do. And what I found out was the better the job I did at quieting the voices, the better the job I did at achieving goals. We want to think that personal and business are two separate sides of who we are. But I would like to encourage you to think about that a little bit differently. Think about building a duplex. It's on a common foundation, the two sides. In this case, one side is personal and one side is professional. So often we think of personal as here and business as here. But that really doesn't work to be in our interest long term, because sooner or later there's going to be a conflict, and weaknesses we have here are going to show up here, and weaknesses we have here are going to show up over here. But when we take a common foundation and we build personal and business on that same foundation, we're not setting up a future conflict. What we're doing is we're setting up an ally, if you will, to strengthen personal. Business is that ally. And to strengthen business, personal is that ally. And so one of the first things that we want to do for both sides is to quiet the voices. Those voices that tell you you're not good enough are never going to be overwhelmed or quieted or shut down with all the affirmations in the world. Not going to happen. I'm not saying there's not a place for affirmations. I absolutely believe in them, and there is. But their place is not to quiet the voices that tell you that you're not good enough, that you can't. And those are the voices that keep you from building momentum. You start to get going. Things are going really well. And then, poof. Where did that come from? What happened? Why? That voice that was telling you that you weren't good enough knocked you off of that step that you were on as you were trying to climb the next step without you understanding what was happening, and sent you over here. It is only when we quiet those voices of self-doubt and of inadequacy that we can then replace them with the affirmations. As the voices of inadequacy are quieted and we feed the voices of positivity and the voices of affirmation, we gradually hit a pivot point where the affirmation becomes stronger than the voice that we're quieting. And it's a process, but an affirmation only will become stronger when it's related to the voice that we're quieting. So let's get really specific for a minute. Let's assume that one of the voices that is telling you that you can't, that you're not good enough, says, you never finish anything. You always procrastinate. So if you were to identify a half a dozen, preferably a dozen, places where you have achieved something and had not procrastinated, and you made a list of those things and you really planted them in your head and in your heart. And the next time you heard yourself telling yourself, what makes you think you're going to get it done? You always procrastinate. And you said to yourself, no, I did this, and I did this, and I did this, and I did this, and I did this. And I was so focused, and those things were so important to me, that procrastination didn't even come up. Now, at the same time that you're telling yourself this, every time you hear that voice about procrastination or not finishing something, every time you tell yourself that, that voice gradually gets a little bit quieter. If at the same time you are feeding yourself affirmations that say, I love my focus on completing things quickly and being able to celebrate my accomplishment. We're not going to talk about procrastination, but we are going to talk about the opposite of procrastination. Is that making sense? when you do this, your life personally will change. Your business will change. You will find momentum in both areas of your life to accomplish the things that matter the most to you. Now, if you need help figuring out how to do this, or if you want to do it more quickly than you can do it on your own, then let's talk. Because that used to be me. And I am so grateful, so excited that it no longer is. And I understand the difference that it will make in your life and your business, because I've seen the difference that it has made in my life and my business. I look forward to talking to you. Reach out soon and let's change your life. You're absolutely worth it.